Heavily armed persons have kidnapped 11 teachers at the Presbyterian school Kumbo this morning in the northwest region of the country. The identity of the captors are not yet known, but suspicion is growing highly on separatist fighters. Also in this newscast, we tell you how Andre Onana and Ngado Gadri could miss out on Cameroon's double header against Mozambique next week, counting for the 2022 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. They are nonetheless part of the 24-man shortlist called to come by the head coach of the Indomitable Lions, Antonio Conceição. We shall be having updates in this newscast. Those are top stories. Good evening and thanks for joining us. You're watching the Primetime Newscast on STV. Just as we told you in the headlines, about 11 teachers of the Presbyterian school Kumbo in the northwest region of the country are still in the custody of gunmen following their kidnap this morning. The whereabouts of the captives still remains a mystery, and the identity of the abductors is not yet known, but separatist fighters are highly suspected of having carried out the act. We shall be coming back to that story in the course of this newscast. And in relations with the incidents in Kumbo, where 7 students were shot dead on October 24, the International Rights Group Human Rights Watch has called on the government of Cameroon to ensure an independent and effective investigation into the Kumbo school massacre, which occurred last month. In a statement, the body reveals that the massacre is a grim reminder of the horrific toll that the Anglophone crisis is having on the education in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Ida Soya, the Human Rights Deputy Director for Africa, has however raised fears that forensic evidence on the scene could have been lost, since the scene was not secured after the incident. Separatist fighters have, however, been warned to stop attacks on children and protect their rights to education. And let's come back to the main story of the day, where about 11 teachers of the Presbyterian school Kumbo in the northwest region of the country are still with their abductors following their kidnap by gunmen this morning. The whereabouts of the captives remain unknown, and why the identity of the gunmen is still a mystery. We have more with Christelle Asexuele.
At a time when the brutal killings in Kumbo still haunts the spirit of the Cameroonian population and the world, information circulating on the internet since morning states that teachers of the Presbyterian school Kumbo in the northwest region of Cameroon have been abducted by an unknown group of armed men. Although some accusing fingers are already pointing at the Ambazonian separatist fighters, the teachers' whereabouts is still unknown. The northwest region seems to be a fertile land for these hoodlums, as we remember vividly the abduction of more than 170 students at the St. Augustine's College in Kumbo by unidentified gunmen on Saturday, February 16, 2019. This incident forced the Kumbo diocese to shut down the school after the children were released. This is one of the most important abductions recorded in this region since the outbreak of the socio-political crisis. This phenomenon is fast gaining grounds as the southwest region has not been exempted from this incident, be it administrative, traditional or religious authorities, teachers or even mere civilians have been kidnapped in these 2 restive regions of Cameroon. The hostage deliberations has always been carried out in exchange of a ransom from the kidnappers. For the case of the 11 teachers of the Presbyterian school in Kumbo, we still await confirmation from the competent authorities.
A mixed control mission charged with evaluating the quality of goods Devore division of the Littoral region and fighting contraband goods has intercepted an alleged producer of artisanal firearms today in Douala. This follows an operation today in Bonaberi, Douala, by the senior divisional officer for Vuri, Benjamin Butu, who heads the commission. More with Josephine Binzi.
A presumed individual believed to be a manufacturer of firearms and small explosives has cheated military apprehension today following the raid on his business sector at Bonaberi in the Douala municipality. Upon arrival at the place, a mysterious discovery was made as cement of poor quality blended with soil and resold to the population was discovered. The operation continued to RAI to track down another presumed suspect, where immense discoveries were equally made as an enterprise was discovered to fabricate low-quality tea which could put the health of those in charge and consumers in danger. These spontaneous checks and operations is not the first of its kind. As a senior divisional officer for Vouri, Benjamin Boutou, the divisional delegate of commerce and communication, to vet local products which do not meet certain criteria and can be of enormous health damage to the population. This comes in a time where the region is faced with several security and health threats, placing a demand on the security of inhabitants. The population is highly called upon to be extremely cautious.
The major axis of the 2021 state budget will hinge on the fight against COVID-19 and its impact on the economy, the reinforcement of security, and the organization of major sports tournaments. The draft finance bill has been examined today at a cabinet meeting chaired by the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute. The Prime Minister also frowned at urban disorder in major cities in the country, with major implementation rules for the budget also scrutinized. The document will be sent to the presidency for approval before being put before lawmakers during the November session for Parliament that will kick off on the 12th of November 2020. Now, stakeholders in the Semak sub-region have met today in the economic capital Douala to fine-tune community regulations in the freight transport sector. The aim of the forum, as Crystal Asexuele tells us, is to guarantee the smooth transportation of goods across the sub-region by road. Her report.
From 4:20 till 4:40.
A workshop to raise awareness and inform the players in the trade transport sector on community regulations in terms of road, transport and transit of goods on the corridors linking Cameroon to neighboring countries of the Central African sub-region took place today, November 3, 2020, here in Douala. This workshop, chaired by the governor of the Littoral region, Samuel Dieudonné Ivadiboa, brought together experts in the issue of road freight transport in Central Africa, head of diplomatic missions of the Semak zone accredited to Cameroon, as well as other stakeholders. This is the place and occasion to discuss on all these problems and try to bring about solutions which will be submitted to our states, so that at the end of this sub-regional integration, dear to our head of states, that will enable us move freely from one corridor to another, from one country to another, without facing any difficulties or problems, which we have not stopped condemning. In the course of this workshop, the experts and stakeholders reviewed the major problems of road transport, the evaluation of the economic stake of the transport of goods by road in Cameroon and in the Central African sub-region, as well as the problem of the difficulties which underlie the road network and the solutions which could be brought to it.
Au niveau des grands intervenants que sont les institutionnels de chaque pays, nous approprier les termes.
Following the interventions of all the institutions of all the countries, appropriate the terms of all its conventions and regulations. So we hope that at the end of this workshop, we will come to the best understanding of this problem, which will help boost our sub-region in terms of quality and rotation. We also invite other administrations to make efforts in ameliorating the state of the road network. As you will know, that road is an essential factor as well as an important production tool for every transporter.
La route est un facteur essentiel. La route est un outil de production pour chaque transporteur, au même titre que ses camions.
This workshop comes in handy to resolve the numerous problems faced by the transporters in transporting goods by road to its neighbors in Central Africa.
The elective General Assembly of the United Councils and Cities of Cameroon is ongoing in the capital city, Yaoundé. The ceremony is taking place at the Yaoundé Congress Hall to designate the successor to Emile Andre, who is the outgoing president. Emile Andre has been at the helm of the UCC since 2003. The elective General Assembly was opened by the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, Georges Elanga Obam. The race for the presidency is between Abubakar Abu Wakili, the mayor of Bele in the Adamawa region of the country, and Augustine Tamba, the mayor of Yaoundé 7 in the center region. The United Councils and Cities of Cameroon is a network of 374 towns as well as urban communities representing the population of Cameroon. It formulates advocacy and lobby public authorities to take into account decentralized authorities when formulating decision making. Now, Alzheimer remains the leading cause of dementia in many humans. Patients and close ones go through several difficulties, but efforts are being made to help them surmount the inherent challenges. Our reporter, Oni Ladonette, has been on a case and recounts her findings in this report.
Memory loss, poor judgment and confusion with time or place are some of the challenges faced by Alzheimer patients. These aspects are recurrent in the life of Mama Boni Freda, who is more than 100 years old, living with Alzheimer.
C'est vrai qu'il y a des difficultés comme partout, où de temps en temps, elle a envie de... Elle dit souvent qu'elle veut rentrer. Parfois, quand on se perd...
It's true we face some difficulties, like her saying she wants to return back to the village. Sometimes when we are occupied, she leaves the house. When she goes out, it's difficult to look for her because we live along the road and it has different roads. She can be everywhere at the same time.
Commencer à la chercher parce que nous sommes en pleine route, nous sommes situés en route. Donc il y a tellement de sorties, tellement d'entrées. Elle peut être partout à la fois. Elle peut être vraiment partout à la fois. Bon.
Signs of this disease is said to have started years back, however were regarded as symptoms of old age. With a cure yet to be discovered for this pathology, diverse ways have been introduced by family members to help ensure the safety of the patient.
Parce que tout le monde, jusque là-bas au terminus, on a dit quand même n'importe qui la voit.
We have told everyone about her situation. The other day, a shop owner saw her and asked me why we left her alone, that she was under the rain. I wasn't even aware she went out. They kept her at home, but you don't even know when she goes out. I just came back from church. If it was another day, you wouldn't find her at home. The grandchildren spend their day looking for her.
C'est qu'elle est partie depuis, même 4 fois. Les petits-enfants passent la journée qu'elle a arrêté.
As help to the family, an identification bracelet has been handed over to the patient by the Association of Understanding Alzheimer Disease.
Nous sommes venus remettre à cette maman son bracelet d'identification.
We came to give this mother an identification bracelet. Alzheimer patients are always on the move, so if she leaves home, it will be easy to find the person through this bracelet. Even if it's in the night, this bracelet is fluorescent, and those who come across old people with some signs of instability or memory problems, just call the number on the bracelet. It will help the family members locate the person.
Figure sur ce bracelet, ça va permettre aux membres de la famille de retrouver la personne qui s'est égarée.
According to statistics published by the World Health Organization in 2018, over 0.96% of the total deaths in Cameroon is caused by Alzheimer. Family members of Alzheimer patients are called upon to cease locking them up while closely watching their movements.
Over Over 546 students of the Sanaga Maritime Division in the Littoral region have benefited from scholarship offered by the association La Main Tendue. The event, chaired by Transport Minister Jean-Enes Massenan Galebibehe, an elite of the division, was marked by a minute of silence for the 7 students killed in Kumbo in the southwest region. Only Ladonet reports.
The hard work of Mbebi Ivan Lionel has finally paid off, emerging the best student at the baccalaureate exams in the French subsystem of education for the Sanaga Maritime Division. Ivan goes home with 300,000 francs and a sponsorship for his university education. All these gifts are thanks to the benevolence of the association La Main Tendue.
Mon secret, à vrai dire, il n'est pas immense. C'est juste le travail acharné, beaucoup de travail. Ainsi, j'incite donc mes
My secret is not hidden. It's just work, hard work. I encourage my brothers and sisters still in secondary school and primary school to work hard because it's hard work that pays. After receiving this gift, I am happy because the burden of my education has been taken away from my family. I thank my benefactor for giving me this opportunity.
De ma scolarité pendant 5 ans sur le dos de mes parents est allégé. Et je remercie beaucoup la Main Tendue de m'offrir ce privilège en cette année 2020.
School bags, books, and financial grants were given to over 546 laureates from the 11 districts of the Sanaga Maritime Division.
Nous avons tenu à venir, comme l'année dernière, primer les meilleurs élèves aux examens officiels.
We decided to come as last year to give gifts to the best students in all official exams in the Sanaga Maritime Division with outstanding grades. We have 5 best students from this department this year. We will accompany them throughout their university studies and also monitor their training until their professional integration. That's the new element for academic excellence.
Leur insertion dans la vie professionnelle. C'est l'élément nouveau pour l'excellence scolaire.
For the first time, the award ceremony also honored outstanding students of the English subsystem of education as well as orphans.
Pour également apporter notre modeste contribution à ceux qui sont...
We have also offered our contributions to the less privileged. We thought of orphans, recognized in the division and identified by the Ministry of Social Affairs. We also decided to bring them joy and keep carrying out the same action all year.
Ce petit sourire, et nous entendons bien mener ces actions similaires tous les ans.
The ceremony, which took place at the courtyard of the SDO's office on Sunday, November 1, honored the lives of the 7 students killed in Kumbo through prayers.
We take you now to this obituary where the funeral program of ACR TV afternoon edition presenter Mireille Lambo is out. According to the program, her remains will be removed from the Jonglu Hospital mortuary on Thursday, November 5. On Friday, November 6, 2020, she will be moved to her village, Bacham, in Buda, in the west region of the country, and interred on Saturday, November 7. Mireille Lambo, who had a rich career at the Cameroon radio television, succumbed to a brief illness on the 27th of October 2020. And that takes us directly out of the country with our first stop in Ivory Coast, where Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara has won a controversial 3rd mandate in the country. He won a landslide by over 94% against his 3 challengers. Tensions remains high in the country as opposition parties leaders reject the polls and the participation of Alassane Ouattara. Opposition parties have formed a traditional council headed by Henri Konan Bede, whose house is presently being heavily circled by security officers in Abidjan, raising fears of his imminent arrest. And Americans go to the poll to elect a new president. Today, in an election pundits qualify as the most divisive in U.S. political history. On the last day of campaigns, incumbent President Donald Trump and his opponent, former Vice President Joe Biden, tried to earn every last vote in a few key states. We have details with the VOA.
On the final day of the presidential campaign, Democratic candidate Joe Biden made one last appeal to voters in Ohio and Pennsylvania.
It's time to stand up. It's time to take back our democracy. We can do this. We're so much better than this.
Biden is ahead in Pennsylvania by 4 percentage points, according to Real Clear Politics. But Trump in 2016 won this key swing state despite trailing in the polls back then. The president held a large rally on Sunday in Florida, a state that analysts say is a must-win for Trump to secure a victory in the Electoral College that calculates vote tallies on a state-by-state basis.
You know what gets crowds like this? Making America great again. That's what gets crowds.
Recent polls show Trump tied with Biden in Florida. The president also visited Pennsylvania on Monday, along with North Carolina, Michigan, and Wisconsin, all states he won in 2016, but this year are either toss-ups or leaning towards Biden. Biden's main campaign focus has been Trump's handling of the coronavirus pandemic that is again on the rise in the U.S.
Donald Trump waved the white flag of surrender to this virus. He did that. His own chief of staff said last week, we're giving up on the virus. We're not going to do anything about it.
While Trump has emphasized his pre-COVID record of economic growth and argued that Biden would raise taxes and increase job losses.
Biden will raise your taxes $4 trillion, massively increase your regulations, close down your factories, send your jobs overseas. That's what he's been doing all his life.
With more than 95 million early votes and mail-in ballots already cast, this year's election is expected to have the highest turnout in modern times. Surveys indicate that early voting has favored Democrats. A Republican vote surge on Tuesday may make the difference for Trump. The winner may not be determined on election night because of delays in counting mail-in ballots and possible court challenges in close state races. Brian Padden, VOA News, Washington.
And in sports football, the head coach of the Indomitable Lions, Antonio Conceição, has convened 24 players to camp ahead of Cameroon's double-header African Cup of Nations 2022 qualifier against Mozambique on November 12 and 16, 2020. Dynamo Moscow and Besiktas strikers Clinton J and Abubakar Vincent are making a return to the Lions' den. Josephine Binzi tells us that the technical team will, however, have to deal with some cases of COVID-19 in the Lions' den.
A 24-man squad has been made public by the head coach of the Lions' Den, Antonio Conceição, in a press conference ahead of the Lions' encounter against Mozambique. 2017 AFCON competition's best player, Christian Bazagok, captain Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting from Bayern, 10-shot Vincent Aboubakar, Bahoken Stéphane, Tabekou Serge, Toko Ekambi from Lyon, France, and missing in action from the national team Clinton J make up the faces carrying the task to attack the line. The Indomitable Lions' Dr. William Gachu explains some ameliorations and difficulties in their selection given the context of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Nous avons des joueurs qui ont des situations COVID.
We have players who are infected with the coronavirus. Mukudi, for instance, who was tested positive on the 24th, but has started training in 2 days, as he has been retested negative. And Gado tested positive in 24 hours. Onana and Tabekou also fall in line.
Onana et Tabekou.
He, however, explains the situation is under control.
Donc la situation évolue en temps réel et nous suivons ces joueurs.
The situation is under control and we are equally following up these players. That's why the Federation permitted us to move from 23 to 24 players, as we anticipate new cases will equally rise.
On peut avoir des nouveaux cas. Le coach a aussi anticipé en prévoyant une...
The squad carries the ultimate responsibility to qualify Cameroon against Mozambique to make up points for the qualifying ticket for the 2022 AFCON competitions. Cameroon has formerly met Mozambique 4 times, winning 3 times and losing once. The 5th encounter will take place on the 12th and 16th of November with the first leg on the 12th at Japoma and the return leg played in Mozambique.
And Ajax shortstopper Andre Onana is set to miss tonight's Champions League's clash against Midtjylland due to COVID-19. He was diagnosed yesterday by officials of his club, Ajax of Amsterdam. And that brings us to the end of the Primetime Newscast on STV. Thank you very much for watching. Programs continue. Have a good night. Bye-bye.